Hello students, today we are going to start with the second part of the chapter, that is biotechnology principles and process, that is the recombinant DNA technology. So recombinant DNA technology, it is also known as rDNA technology. So let us see what is that rDNA technology. Okay, so first of all we should know what is that process. We'll see in detail, but first of all we need to know that who is a scientist who first of all introduced that recombinant DNA technology to the world. The scientist Cohen and Boyer in 1972, by adding antibiotic resistant gene of Salmonella typhimurium to a native self-replicating plasmid of E. coli. So we will see what actually that mean, right? So first of all, it is the plasmid. So plasmid is the circular DNA, all of us we know. So this is the plasmid of Salmonella typhimurium, right? So this Salmonella typhimurium have the circular DNA, which is also known as the plasmid. We will first of all select a gene, that is the antibiotic resistant gene. So what is antibiotic resistant gene? Now you will not understand. We will continue whenever we'll see the step, you will understand. But for now, just remember, it is the antibiotic resistant gene. So suppose this is the antibiotic resistant gene. So first of all, from the plasmid of Salmonella typhimurium, we will first of all identify this antibiotic resistant gene, and by the addition of one enzyme, and that enzyme is restriction endonuclease. Okay, so this is one enzyme that is called as the restriction endonuclease. So by this restriction endonuclease, we will first of all cut the antibiotic resistant gene from the plasmid of the Salmonella typhimurium. Okay, so first of all what we have done, we have just select out the desired gene fragment. So this is the desired gene fragment what we need, right? Then after that it has to transfer into a host body. Okay, suppose this is the host, that is the E. coli, right? So this is the host body. So we will introduce that gene fragment into the host body so that that gene fragment can multiply, right? So first of all, just see how we can introduce the gene fragment into the host E. coli with the help of a vector. Okay, so first of all we will see this is one vector. Suppose this is the vector, right? So in that vector, once again we will find out the respective gene fragment that will be cut by the same restriction endonuclease. So whenever we cut that circular DNA, what will happen? This will become like this. Okay, it will be cut. It will be a straight structure. We cut the circular DNA, it will be straight. Then after that, both these two, that will be added by another enzyme, and that enzyme is the DNA ligase enzyme. Not DNA ligase, for here it's the ligase enzyme. So ligase enzyme will help in addition of the two desired gene fragment, right? So this is the plasmid which we have cut by the same process, that is the addition of the restriction endonuclease. It will cut in the specific region. Then by adding this DNA ligase enzyme, we will add the desired gene fragment which we have cut from the Salmonella typhimurium, and we will add it, right? So whenever we will add it, what we can call it, this gene fragment is added, isn't that? So this gene fragment is added here. What we can call, this is known as the recombinant DNA. Okay, so this rDNA will be now introduced into the host. First of all, host directly how we can able to enter this rDNA into the host, right? So by using some type of chemicals or some techniques, we can make or we can break this plasma membrane permeable. Then after that, this rDNA will be introduced into the host body. The host body is made competent, right? And after that, this host E. coli that will multiply so that our desired gene also can multiply. So this is the technique of the recombinant DNA technology. So in this step, actually, as it seems, it's very easy, but actually it is not. We need to know the exact region, in the exact base pair region where the DNA will be cut, okay, and which enzyme or which restriction endonuclease will work. We have to find it out, and from where the restriction endonuclease is extracted, that is also another biotechnological procedure by which we will take this restriction endonuclease and we will find out the different restriction endonuclease, and according to the base pair we will add that specific restriction endonuclease which will cut that specific plasmid into the respective exactly that region. Okay, so this is the restriction endonuclease which will help in cutting the gene fragment in desired location. So that's why this restriction endonuclease is also known as the molecular Caesar. Remember that. Then after that, once again we will have a vector. Okay, this is the vector. What is the vector? That is the plasmid of E. coli. So this vector is nothing but actually one carrier which will help in the transmission of our desired gene fragment into the host body. So we will select one vector so that the vector can take that gene fragment. It has its own capability to multiply if it gets a host body. So we will first of all select a vector, will fit that gene fragment into the vector. First of all, we have to cut the vector with the help of the same restriction endonuclease, made it straight. Then once again with the help of one adding enzyme, that is the ligase enzyme, which will help in adding or glue. Okay, so it will help in addition or attachment of the desired gene fragment into the host body, into the vector. So that vector now will be known as the recombinant DNA. So that recombinant DNA will be introduced into the E. coli, and that is the whole biotechnology, recombinant DNA technology. But within this, we have numbers of threads, number of strategies, technologies we have by which we can able to simply do this experiment, right? So first of all, we should know what region actually this DNA was cut. We have to take the gene fragment, though it seems very easy that we have to cut and add only, but actually it is not like that. It is the molecular structure. So that's why to cut, to add, to find out the gene fragment, also we have to follow a lot of strategies, and along with that we have to make this proper sterile environment that is different. Okay, we have to make this environment completely virus free or bacteria free or any other microbes free. Then only it is possible that we can carry out this process or this step, right? So you just see what are the steps we have followed in this above experiment. First of all, this is GMO, which is now this GMO that will be the E. coli, which have now a foreign gene, isn't that? So this is the genetically modified organism. So first of all, what you have to do, identification of the DNA with the desired gene. So we have to found this one, plasmid of the Salmonella typhimurium. Then after that, introduction of the DNA segment into the suitable host. Okay, how we will able to introduce this gene into the suitable host? By adding the vector. The vector have to cut, then after that by this ligase we will make this recombinant DNA, then this rDNA will be introduced into the host. That will be the second step. Introduction of the DNA segment into the suitable host. Then after that, maintenance of the introduced DNA into the host so that the host will not die, and after that transfer of the DNA to the progeny so that our host multiply, and whenever this host multiply, our desired gene also will multiply. So this is the steps what we have followed in the recombinant DNA technology. So in the recombinant DNA technology, what we actually need in this whole process is we require three things. So what are the tools we used in the recombinant DNA technology? First one is the enzyme. So here itself we have seen the two enzymes. What are they? One is the restriction endonuclease and second is the ligase, right? So these two enzymes are going to be very much important. Next one, what we need the vector. Okay, vector which will carry our desired gene into the host body. So in this case, which is the vector? This is the plasmid of the E. coli, which will carry the gene fragment into the host body. And after that, a competent host. We need this host so that our desired gene fragment can multiply, or our desired gene fragment can produce its own protein, right? So these are the different tools that are used in the genetic engineering, or it is used in the recombinant DNA technology. Now we are going to see step by step the different enzymes, vectors, competent host, etc. So I hope you understand this. This is the recombinant DNA technology. After that, let's just see the different tools. So already I have told you that there are three types of tools present. What are they? First one is the enzyme, second one is the vector, and the third one is the competent host, right? So first of all, we'll see all of the tools. First one, we'll discuss the enzyme. So a number of enzymes are here. So let's just see all those enzymes. First group of enzymes, they are the lysing enzymes, right? So already I have given that we have to find a gene fragment from the organism, that is the Salmonella typhimurium. Then after that we cut the gene fragment. Then after that we have to find one vector. So from the vector we will cut the segment, we'll add the gene fragment, and after that this will be introduced inside the host body, right? So whenever it comes to the lysing enzyme, then we need to know that how we will able to extract the gene fragment, how we will able to find the desired gene fragment. Obviously within our organism, within a cell, isn't that? So this Salmonella typhimurium, this is one organism or not? They are going to have its own plasma membrane, isn't? If it is in case of the vector also, this vector is also present within a cell. We have to first of all collect the gene fragment. So before the collection of the gene fragment, we have to break the cell membrane, isn't that? So how we will able to break the cell membrane so that we can able to extract the desired gene fragment, that actually are the lysing enzyme. So what the lysing enzymes will do? These lysing enzymes are used to lyse the cell so that the DNA can be separated. So this cell membrane will be broken. Then only it is possible that we can get the vector or we can get the desired gene fragment, and after that we can make the rDNA. Isn't that? Understand? That means first of all, Salmonella typhimurium, that organism have to be broken. That means the plasma membrane of this organism have to be broken. Then only we will able to get this desired gene. Isn't that? So how it will be possible? By this lysing enzymes. So see, depending on which cell has to be lysed, different lytic enzymes are used. So what are the enzymes? See, In case of the plant, bacteria, fungi or animal, their plasma membrane is made up of different component, right? If it comes to us, our plasma membrane is made up of the lipid bilayer, phospholipid bilayer, and along with that we have the extrinsic protein and intrinsic protein. Hope you have remembered from the earlier phospholipid bilayer model, isn't? So cell membrane that is of different biomolecule, that are made up of different biomolecule, so we have to add that specific enzyme so that that biomolecule can be digested, right? So that are the lysing enzyme. So the first lysing enzyme will be for the animal cell. So for the animal cell, what are the enzymes have to be added? For the lipid, we require the lipase enzyme that will break the lipid phospholipid bilayer, and along with that we require the protease also, that is present in the cell phospholipid bilayer, extrinsic and the intrinsic protein. So that protein will be broken down by the protease enzyme. So for the plant cell, what we require, the protease and the lipase enzyme. Second one, what we have for the plant cell, we know that in case of the plant, they have one additional cell wall which is made up of cellulose. So cellulose will be broken down by the cellulase enzyme, right? So along with that, they will require the protease, then lipase, and along with that they will require the cellulase enzyme also, so that both the cell wall and the plasma membrane, both of them that can be broken, and we can able to get the desired gene fragment from the chromosome or from that DNA. Next one, C, for the fungal cell. You need to know that in case of the fungus, they have the cell membrane which have the chitin. So for breaking down the chitin, we need to have this enzyme, chitinase enzyme. And the fourth type, that in case of the bacterial cell, the bacterial cell membrane is made up of the lysosome, which can be broken down by the enzyme, that is lysozyme enzyme. Okay, so these are very much important, and basically what the two are coming, that are for fungal cell. Okay, remember that. For the plant cell, it is very much important. So only this thing you have to remember. One question, they come generally. So these are the lysing enzyme. So we need to know these are the lysing enzyme. After that, we will move to the next part, that are the next group of enzyme, that are the nuclease enzyme. What we have seen, that for the breaking of this specific gene fragment from the whole plasmid, what we need to get, our gene fragment can be extracted by the restriction enzyme or restriction nuclease enzyme. So let's just move to the next group of enzymes. So the second group of enzyme, let's just see, they are the restriction enzymes. So what are the restriction enzymes? This is a molecular seizure, as already I have mentioned, and the discovery was first occurred in 1963 by two scientists, they are Stuart Lin and Werner Erber. They isolated two enzymes responsible for the restricting the growth of phases in E. coli. One enzyme add methylated group to the self, and another enzyme cleave the unmethylated or the foreign DNA and protect the self from the protect the self genetic makeup. Now, what is the meaning? Okay, so let's just see what is that restriction enzyme, how it was actually first isolated, right? So just see, this is the E. coli. Okay, we know that bacteria, they are affected by the virus, isn't? They very often are affected by the virus. The viral genetic matter, genetic makeup, they enter inside the bacteria, and after that in the bacteria they multiply, the viral progeny multiply, and the viral progenies, they come out, isn't that? So suppose this is the E. coli. Now, to have immunity or in case of the E. coli, they have no immune system or they don't have any defense system so that it can restrict the growth of the phages. Okay, so this is the E. coli, and what happened, this viral progeny, suppose this is a bacteriophage that will enter inside the bacteria and it will multiply. So this is the genetic makeup, right? And in case of the E. coli, this is supposed the genetic makeup, right? Now in this, similar to the defense or immune system, they have one another mechanism. And what is that? That is the restriction enzyme. So this enzyme, they have the two parts. Okay, this is the two parts. So the first part, that is the methylated part. Suppose this is the methylated, this is part 1, this is the part 2, right? Now, whenever this viral or the phages, they try to infect the bacteria, suppose the E. coli, they are entering, and this E. coli genetic makeup is just about to get blended with the viral genetic material. So what at that time, what actually it is going to do? So this restriction enzyme, what it is going to do, it is going to break, and the first part, which is the methylated part, that will get added to the self genetic makeup. Okay, so this methylated part that will get added to the self genetic makeup. Then after that, what the other part, that the second part will do, that second part will check which one is methylated and which one is not methylated. So first of all, it will check this one, it will find the methylated part, right? So this methylated genetic makeup will not get hampered by this second part of the restriction enzyme. Then the next, that is the viral or that phase genetic makeup, this has also been checked by the second part of the restriction enzyme, and it will not find any type of methylated part. So that's why what this second part of this restriction enzyme will do with that phase or the viral genetic makeup, it will break in the middle, or it will cleave that genetic makeup. So this genetic makeup will be destroyed. Okay, so this genetic makeup will not able to blend with the E. coli E. coli's genetic makeup, and after that this bacteria can be protected, right? This genetic makeup will be protected. The E. coli will not gonna affect by these phases. Okay, so what is this? This one, this is the restriction enzyme. Remember, this is the restriction enzyme. And without the restriction enzyme, the biotechnological steps can never be possible. If we are not able to cut the genetic makeup, then how the genetic engineering can occur, right? How the manipulation of gene can occur? Modern biotechnology was started with the manipulation of the gene. So how we are able to manipulate the gene? By cutting the gene fragment. So how we are able to cut the gene fragment? By this restriction endonuclease. This is the restriction enzyme. And who discovered these two restriction enzymes? This restriction enzymes, two scientists, Stewart Lee and Werner Arber. So these two scientists name because of what the modern biotechnology is based, that is the restriction enzyme. This is very, very much important. You have to remember the scientists names also, that is Stewart Lee and the Werner Arber, and along with that we need to know this mechanism also, by which we can able to understand that this restriction enzyme can able to check, can read the methylated part. They can read the sequence, and whenever they read the sequence, then it is possible that whenever we use in our processes, then it can also able to read the regions, and it can able to cut the gene fragment in its desired region, right? So what will happen? This is the restriction enzyme. So we need to know. This is also known as the molecular seizure. So that's why this restriction enzymes. They are also called as the molecular seizure. Okay, remember that this is known as the molecular seizures, right? So this is this thing, remember that. After that, let us move to the next part. Now after that, let us see that three scientists, that are Smith, Wilcox and Kelly, they first isolated the restriction enzymes from the bacteria Haemophilus influenza and named it as HIND2. Okay, so there are nomenclature rules we have by which we have to name the specific restriction endonuclease name. We'll come to the nomenclature. So before that, let us see what is that HIND2. HIND2 or HIND2, it was the first discovered restriction endonuclease enzyme, which was discovered by Smith, Wilcox and Kelly. What are they? See, we need to know some points about this restriction endonuclease. See, this HIND2 always cuts the DNA molecule at particular point, recognizing a sequence of 6 base pairs. So this is the base pair, and this specific base sequence is known as the recognition sequence. So what is the recognition sequence of the HIND2? That is GTCTAC. From 5' to 3', and in the opposite direction we are having the complementary base sequence. Now the 6 pair base sequence is this. Now see, HIND2 cuts between the 3rd and the 4th base pair of this segment. That means in this recognition sequence, HIND2 will able to find this region. Okay, they will find this. Okay, then after that it will cut at this region and it will break this DNA fragment into 2 parts. So this way we'll get this part. That means we will get after that 3 base sequence in one segment and 3 base sequence in the another segment. And of course in between them the hydrogen bond is there, and hydrogen bond, it's not single. I know that you know that in between G and C we have 3 hydrogen bond, and in between A and T there are 2 hydrogen bond. I have just indicating the hydrogen bonds, they are not indicating the single or the double or the triple bonds. So here we are going to have the hydrogen bond, and in between this we are going to have the phosphate bond too. So this way, this HIND2, they will cut the gene fragment in that specific location, that is in between C and T, right? And it is able to cut at that specific location or in that specific region, and it will able to break the gene fragment into 2 parts. So this way we'll see the restriction enzyme. So this is all about the restriction enzyme. That's all about the video. In the next video we will see in detail that how actually the different restriction enzymes and how they are worked, what are the nomenclatures, and also we have to know some of the base sequence, recognition sequence also, and in which region it will cut. Everything we will see in the next video. Till now I hope you understand this part. Thank you.